Madison Chalk and Evan Bates just delivered the skate of their lives, but the judges in Milan had a different ending in mind. It is February 11, 2026. The Milano ice skating arena is vibrating with the kind of tension that only an Olympic final can produce. The air is thick with the scent of frozen water and the collective breath of thousands. The Americans, the three-time and reigning world champions, have just finished their free dance. They are the favorites. They are the Mr. and Mrs. America of the ice. And as the final notes of their performance faded, the crowd rose in a deafening standing ovation that seemed to seal their destiny. This was meant to be the coronation of a 15-year journey, but then the scores flashed on the jumbo screen. Madison Chalk and Evan Bates scored 224.39 total points. The winners were Laurence Fournier-Baudry and Guillaume Cizerin of France with 225.82. The gold medal had slipped away by a mere 1.43 points. The arena fell into a stunned icy silence before a chorus of whistles and boos erupted from the back rows. This was not just a close finish. It was a result that felt fundamentally wrong to many purists in the sport. How did a French duo that had been skating together for less than 15 months just take the crown from a couple that has spent a decade and a half building perfection? The answer lies in a swirl of judging controversy, a Frankenstein partnership, and a dark backstory that has turned this gold medal into the most debated result of the 2026 Games. It is a story of political maneuvering, personal betrayal, and the question of whether innovation should ever trump unity. To understand the outrage, you have to look at what Chalk and Bates actually did on that ice. Their free dance was a flamenco-inspired masterpiece set to a haunting orchestral version of the Rolling Stones' Painted Black. Madison Chalk transformed into a fierce scarlet-clad matador, her movements sharp enough to cut the air. Evan Bates was the powerful rhythmic bull, his stability providing the anchor for some of the most complex lifts ever attempted in ice dance. They weren't just skating, they were executing a 15-year masterclass in storytelling. They earned a season-best 134.67 for the free dance alone. Technically, they were nearly flawless, earning level 4 scores on 4 major elements. Their synchronized twizzles were perfectly timed, rotating as if their blades were connected by an invisible gear. But it was their curve-curve combination lift that really stole the show, scoring a program high of 15.29 points. This was their Super Bowl. At 33 and 36 years old, this was their 4th Olympics together and their first as a married couple. They had already won gold in the team event earlier in the week, but the individual gold was the only thing missing from their massive trophy case. They did everything right. They skated with the desperation of people who knew this was their final dance on the world stage. They carried the legacy of American ice dance from Merle Davis and Charlie White to this very moment, only to find that perfection has a different definition in the eyes of the 2026 judges. Now let us look at the winners. Laurence Fournier-Baudry and Guillaume Cizerin are a duo that by all accounts of ice dance tradition should not even be on the podium, let alone the top step. Their partnership was formed in a nuclear winter of scandal and necessity. Guillaume Cizerin is an Olympic legend who won gold in 2022 with Gabriela Papadakis. But when Papadakis retired, Cizerin was not ready to let go of the spotlight. In early 2025, he shocked the skating world by announcing a new partnership with Laurence Fournier-Baudry. They were not strangers. They were longtime training mates at the Ice Academy of Montreal. Cizerin described it as a duo born from friendship, but to fans it felt like a tactical merger of two high-level free agents. Laurence Fournier-Baudry was available because her former partner and longtime boyfriend Nikolai Sorensen had been handed a 6-year suspension following an investigation into sexual maltreatment. Fournier-Baudry chose to leave the Canadian program, obtain French citizenship just months ago, and link her destiny to Cizerin. They are two leftover champions who came together just 15 months ago. They skated their free dance to sounds from the film The Whale, an avant-garde abstract routine meant to mimic the flow of water and the heaviness of emotion. It was elegant, yes, it was silky, yes. Cizerin's individual skating skills are undeniable, but in ice dance the pair is supposed to be the unit. Fans are asking, can you really build an Olympic unity in a year? The judges said yes. The fans in the arena, however, were less convinced. Adding to the controversy is the ghost of Guillaume Cizerin's former partner. Just weeks before the 2026 Games, Gabriela Papadakis released a bombshell memoir titled Pour ne pas disparaître, which means so as not to disappear. The book did not just tell her story. It tore down the image of the perfect French partnership. Papadakis described Cizerin as controlling, demanding, and emotionally critical. She wrote that his coldness froze her blood and that toward the end of their career, she became terrified to be alone with him in the locker room. She described a relationship that was unbalanced, where her voice was often silenced to satisfy his perfectionism. Cizerin vehemently denied the claims, calling them a smear campaign timed to ruin his Olympic return. He instructed his lawyers to issue formal warnings, but the damage to his public image was significant. The drama became so high-profile that networks actually dropped Papadakis from their broadcast teams for the 2026 Games, citing a clear conflict of interest. This villain narrative followed Cizerin onto the ice in Milan. While he and Fournier-Baudry skated a beautiful avant-garde routine, many viewers could not help but look at the partnership through the lens of those allegations. Was the silky smooth flow of their skating a result of real connection? Or was it the result of the same controlling technical rigor Papadakis described? By awarding them gold, the judges essentially told the world that the off-ice drama did not matter. Only the score did. Then there is the other half of the French duo. Laurence Fournier-Baudry's path to the French flag was paved by one of the biggest scandals in Canadian skating history. Her former partner Nikolai Sorensen was suspended for sexual maltreatment stemming from an allegation involving an American skater in 2012. The case, which involves allegations that Sorensen held the woman down and raped her, came to light in early 2024. While the suspension was briefly overturned on jurisdictional grounds in mid-2025, the case remains a massive stain on his legacy. When the ban was initially issued, Fournier-Baudry's career appeared to be over. But instead of retiring, she moved across the Atlantic. She switched her national allegiance to France. A move that was only made possible by her partnership with Cizeron. Critics say the partnership allowed Fournier-Baudry to skip the consequences of the scandal. While Sorensen was effectively out of the sport, she was rewarded with the greatest partner in the world and a fast track to Olympic gold. Many fans feel the French team represents a circumvention of the values the sport is supposed to uphold. In a year when the Olympics are trying to move past the dirty legacy of the 2022 Beijing Games, having a gold medalist whose previous partner was banned for sexual abuse, and whose current partner is being accused of emotional manipulation is a public relations nightmare for the ISU. But on the ice, the judges remained blind to the context, rewarding the whale with a season-best 135.64. When you look at the technical protocols, the robbery narrative becomes even more clear. This gold medal was not won in the free dance. It was manufactured in the rhythm dance on Monday. The French skated to Madonna's Vogue, and while it was technically sharp, it lacked the soul and the speed of the Americans' Lenny Kravitz medley. Yet the judges gave the French a lead of 0.46 points. In ice dance, that fraction of a point is everything. It sets the order for the final. In the free dance, the bias was even more glaring. 5 of the 9 judges preferred chalk and baits. If the Olympic final had been decided by a majority vote, the Americans would be wearing gold. They were ranked winners of the night by the majority of the panel. Even more egregious, Cizeron stumbled on a twizzle sequence, a mistake that usually results in a massive deduction. Yet the judges barely blinked. So how did France win? Because the judges who favored the French team did so by massive, inexplicable margins in the program components, the subjective marks for artistry. Specifically, one French judge reportedly favored Cizeron and Fournier-Baudry by nearly 8 points. In a sport decided by 1.43 points, an 8-point swing from a single judge is the equivalent of a nuclear strike. It felt like a European home ice advantage. The judges rewarded the abstraction of the French over the intensity of the Americans. They chose flow over flamenco. In doing so, they triggered a global fan war that has overshadowed the actual athleticism. Italian dancer Marco Fabbri, who finished 4th, told reporters that he usually prefers Lawrence and Guillaume, but tonight chalk and baits deserved it. Success in 2026 isn't always measured in gold. For Madison Chalk and Evan Bates, the silver in Milan is a testament to an incredible career. They are the only American couple to win 3 consecutive world titles. They led Team USA to a gold medal in the team event earlier this week. They leave the sport as legends regardless of what a few judges in Italy decided on a Wednesday night. But the French victory leaves a dark cloud over the Milano Cortina Games. It raises questions about the controlling nature of coaching systems, the ethics of forming partnerships in the wake of scandal, and the persistent problem of nationalistic judging in figure skating. Guillaume Cizeron has his second gold. Laurence Fournier-Baudry has her redemption. But Madison Chalk and Evan Bates have something more valuable, the respect of everyone who watched them. As the arena filled with whistles and boos when the final scores were announced, it became clear who the people's champions were. They skated for the gold. They walked away with silver. But in the hearts of the fans in Milan, there was only one champion. The era of chalk and baits might be ending, but the debate over this robbery is just beginning. Because in 2026, the most beautiful dance isn't always the one that gets the highest score. It is the one that makes the world stop and feel something. And for 4 minutes in Milan, Madison Chalk and Evan Bates made the world believe in 15 years of magic.